What's going on, everybody? It is Luke, and I'm bringing you a really important topic today. So what we're going to be talking about is, well, as you can see, Q1 to Q4 2020. Now, what I mean by that is we are now in January Q1. So you've had your Q4. Hopefully, you've done really well, or at least what you expected or hoped for. If you're, most people, maybe this is their first Q4, and you've seen the real power of Q4. You've seen what it really is, because it's very hard for anyone that hasn't seen it to believe what it's capable of doing until it actually happens. And at that point, it's too late to really get involved in terms of maximizing your potential. Of course, if you wait till you start seeing your sales pick up and then you start, investing more and more, you can take advantage of that for a couple of weeks. But really, the planning has to be started in Q1, so that by the time you get to sort of September, end of August, September, you're able to implement and really push, really enhance everything you've done through the rest of the year to maximize your Q4. It's almost like a year segment. I used to think when I was a beginner, or like within my first year, I guess you could call it, or my first full year, including a Q4, that I was looking at things month to month, maybe quarter to quarter, but now I'm looking at everything as 1 year, and 1 year is one block to me. So I'll think everything in terms of 1 year, not in terms of 1 month. And there's many reasons for that. Just one positive is that you're going to be treating this as a longer term business rather than a shorter term business, which is the best way to go about it. I could sell so many more products than I do now. There's thousands probably that I've not sold that others do over the years, but I'm not worried about that, because I'd rather have some longevity in my account and not having try to reduce any risks to my account, the sort of the products I'm selling, for a longer term reward, or a longer term sort of consistency, I guess you could call it, and that then allows me to focus mainly on yearly segments or blocks or whatever the hell you want to call them. I'm just saying that for now. Rather than month to month, because obviously if you're being a bit more risky with what you're selling, the brands and stuff like that, for example, you never know what's going to happen to your account. You may not be able to sell them, you may get some issues on your account. So by sort of doing what I do, I'm able to focus on quarterly, but obviously quarterly, it's important, of course, but you don't want to sort of lose the focus. You don't want to be looking at too longer term time scale, but yearly, a year comes around so fast that you need to be focusing on the year, and everything you do, Q1, Q2, Q3, is actually just it's going to enhance your Q4. And obviously, you're not going to, at shorter term, you're not going to see any massive implementations that you've done that are going to be drastically changing day to day. But pushing forward, you're going to see some amazing results come Q4. So I'm just going to give you, my views of how I'm going to, like anything, everyone does it differently. My views of how I'm going to tackle the year and how I'm transitioning to Q1. The last week, this week just come is my first real week, getting back into the sync of things, whatever the hell that word is. It's lost me. Getting back into the sync, basically, of everything. I had a bit of time off, did some work, did some YouTubes, showed my Q4 stuff. But this is getting planning, getting fully. Anyway, let's get into it. So I'm going to jump to SELLERBOARD, as I always pretty much do for every video, and this is my first year on Amazon's Q4. So I'm going to do a comparison. This is actually not Q4. What I'll do is I'll just do a Q4. That was December, but just to do Q4. So. This is like 2017, so a while ago now. But this is when I was able to see, this is my first proper Q4. So I had a very small Q. I had like a December. My very first month on Amazon was December, so I did like 1,000 in sales, and that then maybe, and I saw the potential, a little slither of the potential, knowing what I can do for next year. And I did this. This is 81,000, and nowhere near what even then, when I had a proper Q4, I was like, wow, it's not even what I thought. It's far beyond that. But you have to be getting everything in line in January, February, March, so that you don't get to September and think, oh, I could have done so much more if. I could have done so much more if. So yes, as a newer seller, you will have that mentality like, oh, you know what, now I know what I can do next year, and you always will have that forever. As definitely online sales grow as well, the potential enhances as time goes on. But but now that you are building that knowledge or that wisdom, I guess you would call it, of it, you can implement things shorter term. Now, so 81, 8, whatever it is. Then we're going to jump to Q1. Okay. So that was pretty much, just going in head first, toys and games, pretty much, see what's happened, and I did great. And I thought, no, I've got all this sort of profit that I've made, and I was like, right, really happy. This is my Q1 total. And all I did was implement very similar, very similar methodologies, tactics for Q1 than I did in Q4, which is fine. But you can see here it's basically 4x down on what it was, and my January was like $5,000. So my January was very, very crap. It was a massive shock to the system because I didn't really know how to tackle it. And it took me about 6 months, 3 to 6 months to really get my head, my mentality back into the game, because I started getting very disheartened in terms of like, I basically got to wait till Christmas now to do anything again, because you could, once you've seen it, you're like, it's like that. So like, it's like that shiny thing. Once you see it, it's very hard to, and it goes, you get disheartened. And it'll come back, so you're waiting, but you need to be doing things proactively in the shorter term, as in Q1, definitely Q1, for Q2, which then enhances to Q3 and Q4. And what do I mean by that? So this is what I'll go through. So I'm going to just add as I go. So how to tackle the year head on. So just to start, the way that I do my business, I smash through Q4. I then try to, as the end of Q4 comes about, I try to basically trail off a lot of my products, as in I probably, I don't keep pumping in stock. Like I'm only just, like this week is the first week I'm really trying to pump back into stock. I try to get out all the old, flush out the system almost, like an MOT, get everything sort of back to positioning for the new year. I guess the MOT is a year, so perfect. And look to push on. I don't have a lot. I have some stuff like excess. I have stuff left over. The bigger you grow on Amazon, the more stuff you will be left with at the end of Q4 that hasn't sold. But that's fine, because if you didn't play the game like that, you wouldn't get the profits you do. So you expect something. I had 84 4 keys that I had to get back sent here, and I've got to send in and do bits and bobs with it. But that's fine. It might be it might be like $2,000 worth of stock, but I've made whatever I made, 30 grand. 25, 30 grand, whatever. So it's a trade-off, isn't it? But they'll sell over the year. Because I'm thinking things as a year, I don't mind. They'll sell over, by even if they're here for Q4 next year, worst case scenario, whatever. It doesn't matter. Which I never used to think about. I used to think, just get rid of it. So now I'm starting to build up my stock again, ready. But it's like, okay, so how do you tackle Q1? So the way that I will go about it is it's all about... This keeps pausing my recording, so sorry about that. It's all about planning. Now, what do I mean by planning? Well, you want to maximize your Q4 this year by doing things in the other months that are going to help improve it. Stuff like cash flow, product leads, knowing what systems and softwares are best for you, leaning down or cutting down expenses, refining your processes, systemizing, automation, all that sort of thing. I know planning is very generic. I just reeled some off, and I'll go into them a little bit more. Just like I said, longer term thinking. Don't just think, what profits will I make this month? Oh, I made 400 quid. Yeah, that's a bit crap because I made so much money in December or something. Oh, 400 quid's nothing. I won't do that much work. Let's wait till February and see what happens then. Before you know it, there's so much you could have done. This is a very important topic. So those two are quite generic. This is actually a really important one. So it's compounding profits. My face has disappeared. Why does it keep doing that? There it is. Compounding profits. Now, what do I mean by compounding profits? I mean that let's say you've made 10,000 in Q4, okay? and you've now got that in your bank because you may, or you've got it somewhere, maybe it's in some stock you've bought recently or in profits. You have a choice. You either take out and spend all the money. I did that my very first year, so I can, I'll hold my hands up. You get this extra money and you think, oh my God, I finally see cash in the bank. I never have cash in the bank, or you have some, because it's always in stock and you never really know what that stock's worth because it moves price. It never sells at the same price day to day, month to month, week to week, all that sort of thing. And so for me, it's the first time you really see the cash in the bank. So I won't sell anything from like I won't buy anything, sorry, from about the 20th, 18th, probably the 18th of December, all the way through to about the 2nd of January, 1st, whatever, something like that. About 2 weeks, maybe a bit less, whatever it ends up being, 12 days. And that's over that, and I get instant disbursements, instant disbursements, is that the word? Rather than having to wait as well. So I get it, everything that clears that day, I can do a withdrawal. Every 24 hours, I can do a withdrawal. So it's the first time you can really see what cash you got to play with for the year. Of course, I'll always treat myself a little bit at the end of Q4. I don't really do anything else through the year. I don't go on holidays. I don't even like holidays. They really annoy me because holidays is an escape. An escape from like the real world, I guess, to relax. But you should run a business that is relaxing. You should have a, you should try to get sort of mold your business over the years. Obviously, you can't do it all the time. You can't do it right away. Mold it so that it is part of your hobbies and excitements and lives. And even if you start off with this and you transition to whatever you enjoy. But this is just like the stepping stone, isn't it? So, to me, mentally wise, I don't really want to ever think of a holiday as an escape from something, because that means I'm living a life that I don't want to essentially live. Like I'm escaping, It's just the way I see it. So I'm like, no, you're definitely not going on holiday, you dumbass. Right, anyway, back to it. So that's how you make all that profit, and now you take a little bit out for yourself because you want to reward yourself. And also rewarding yourself is good, and delayed gratification is good, but I will do a little bit. So I bought some new clothes, but I wasn't too worried about what I bought. I don't buy designer stuff or fancy stuff like that, but I treated myself a little bit there. I went away to Malta for a week. It was cheap. Well, it was like 500, 600 quid, I think I spent in total for the whole thing, all in. But it's nothing, I'm not taking a huge chunk out. I'm taking like a percentage, maybe 5%, 8%, just for myself. And the rest I'm obviously leaving in the business, and that will be reinvested over however long it takes, or whatever I want to do with it. And let's say this month, so compounding profits. So you've now got that profit and it's in the bank. And now you're in a really strong position for the next month, 2 months, to buy all the stock you want. Now, because we're looking at it as a year, I'm trying to speed up a bit and realize I'm blabbering a bit. As you want to see that stock obviously creating, so that profit making you 2020 profits from that stock, you want to reinvest. So you're compounding. If you take it all out, you're basically starting again. And this year will probably be exactly the same as last year. Yeah. But you don't want that. You want to be, say they made 10 grand, but if you only make another 10 grand this year because you spend the profits, you just start off exactly where you were in January last year. You make another 10 grand and it continues forever. So you made 20 grand in 2 years. Okay. If you use that 10 grand this year, January, you can make 40,000 or 30,000, which means you've doubled what in 2 years you've got double in a bit what you would have had if you just took it out. So if you then take out 20 grand at the end of this year, you still have an extra 20 grand, yeah? By 1 year delay in your gratification, or if you just take a little bit out and not full amount, then you basically just made 20 grand for free because you've waited 1 year, which is nothing, in terms of anything. Like Christmas is just pop and go, birthday, before you know you're 50. Well, not 50, but yeah. So compounding profits. So I used to think I've only made £400 this month. This is when I was in my first year. I made £400. Really, I was like, oh, that's not much. I'll just spend 100 on something. But actually, 400 can now turn into 600 next month. And then your profits from February also can go into that pot. So not only have you made profit on your January because you reinvested it, you made £300 in February. Not a lot, but you've got 300 plus the 400 plus the profit that 400 made by reinvesting it. Let's say it's £100, and obviously then you can reinvest that, because it's now going to be compounding. So you've got 1,000 something in total. That 1,000 can make £300. So you've got 1,300. That 1,300 can make 1,000. Sorry, not can make 1,000. Can make an extra £500. And by the time you get to October, or let's say September, and you now need to focus on Q4, because you really need to focus on Q4 month before Q4, even before really, depending on your capital, because it takes time to spend money. You don't want to be buying junk or stuff just to spend it. You are then in a position where you have £5,000, maybe more than what you thought. Well, £5,000 in Q4 you can double that £5,000 minimum. As long as you're not gated and stuff, you're proactive and you're not being lazy, you can make £10,000 from that. So from a couple of £100 in January that you thought, oh, that's not much, at the end of the year you've actually got £10,000 to show for it. Plus you've reinvested that Q4 2019 profits, which is then going to make its money on its own. Yeah. So it's all about thinking on the long term and trying to compound, get it in your head, compounding profits. It's not about the short-term profits. It's about the potential profit that the profit can make. Let's move on. It's all about testing. Oh my God. That thing is really annoying me. That is really going to get on my nerves. Okay. I don't know what it's doing there. Testing. What do I mean by testing? Let's see, okay, space it. Is you now have some extra profits from Q4. It may not be massive, but it may not be, but it'd be enough. Try out different softwares and services that maybe you haven't tried yet, just to see what fits for you and what you find to be the best software for money, return on investment. Everyone knows what ROI is. If you can spend £50 on a software or service and it creates £100 net plus positive, net, whatever the hell I just said, positive £50. If you then subscribe to software that is £60 and it gives you £200 profit because of the product it's providing you, then the ROI is obviously a bet. Even if it costs more, it's a better ROI. But again, if you haven't got a lot of money, it's what do you choose? So, but where you've probably made some decent profits, hopefully in Q4, fingers crossed you have, or even just some. Softwares and services aren't huge. They're not, they are in the hundreds if you subscribe to the big packages, but if you subscribe to the basics, they're not. They're £50 to £80. Is in Q1 trial and play with the softwares, because you might find that you prefer something like online arbitrage deals, where it gives you deals every day. You don't really have to even do any much analysis. There's very limited analysis done. It's just to check the profits, if you can sell it and all that sort of thing. Or there's fast track FBA, where you do have to do a little bit more analysis to see if the product, maybe you don't sell that brand, maybe you do. What's the keeper chart look like? What category is it in? All that sort of thing. Could you bundle it? Can it be a bundle potential? But the profits could be higher. Doing a little bit more analysis if you've got time. Maybe you have no time. Or do you look at having a virtual assistant to help you do some sourcing or admin work? Do you just hire a virtual assistant for 1 day a week? And that's about £35 for every 2 weeks, I think. 38, 35, depending on whatever it ends up being. It's £70, £80 a month, but you're testing. Because the reason that you want to be testing now is because you've probably got a bit of money extra from Q4. So a little bit of an investment in how you're doing everything is actually going to help, because by the time you get to Q4, you know what softwares and services do what. You know exactly what's going on. You've tried them all, and you know which ones you want. You may only just trial these softwares in Q1, and then may discontinue them because they cost too much money. But then by the time Q4 comes, and you now have now the potential of Q4, and you know what you need, you need deal flow, you need all this. You can now go, right, I know exactly what I want, how I want it, and when I want it. Yeah, you know what I mean. So that's exactly what I did in my first Q. This what I've just shown you, the Q1, Q2, Q3. So Q1, January, February, March. Here we go. after my first Q4. I trialed all the softwares and services, and I actually just broke even. Pretty well. I probably didn't. I probably made a little bit, but I didn't really make a lot of money. I didn't, and I thought, to me, I saw that as break even. But actually, I think, as I just explained in the compounding, as I've evolved or grown through the business, I now look at things completely differently to what I did then. But luckily, I did actually test all the softwares and services to see what was a best fit for me and what I preferred. And everyone prefers different things. It's not one way fits all. So that, to me, is an important thing. Of course, nowadays you can look at a lot of reviews, you can get advice. I pretty much just did it off my own back. I didn't, there was a couple of groups around, but they were not necessarily always focusing on everything I was thinking of, so I had to go about it myself. Moving on. Yes. So I'll put this under refining. That is the most annoying thing. Oh my God, what a disaster. I don't know what, I need to figure that out. Refinancing, outsourcing, and systems. Why is it? Oh, do you know what? I'm sorry for that. I'm not going to redo the video because that's not me. Refining, outsourcing, and systems is all roughly the same thing. Refining is trying to, over the weeks, over the months, over the quarters, is to refine your processes. How fast you're doing things. Do you have to be using all the different? Do you have to be whatever layers you've got in your systems? Maybe you do that. Can you miss one out? Do you really need to do that? Does it have value? Does it add value? And does it lose any value, or does it add value? And if it doesn't really do anything, can you just get it out? And then can you cut down that process 5 minutes? I see it in minutes. If I can save 2 minutes there, 2 minutes there, 2 minutes there, and by the time Q4 comes around, I've saved myself 2 hours a day. Well, beautiful, because come Q4, time is literally the most important thing. Like, obviously, a lot more things, but if you're slow, even if you don't go to checkout, it's 4:30, you go to checkout because you're like, oh, I haven't got around to it. 4:30 comes, well, it's not going to be shipped till the day after because 4 o'clock's a lot of the cutoffs for shipments. So you now got your stock a day late. You keep doing that over Q4, you lost 5 days. Well, 5 days could be £25,000 sales. What's that? 5, 6, 7, 8 grand profit, depending on what you sell. So you've lost 8 grand. Awesome, that was worth it. So but when you get to that point, it's too late to start doing all this. You have to do it before. Please don't. Yes. So that is what I mean. Systemizing, and you could even, I'm not going to go through all this, but you could even add the virtual assistant side of things, I've said. So you get the virtual assistant to do a lot of these processes, the little bits in between, so that you maybe start the process, meaning you say that check these products. Maybe you get it through online deals or fast track FBA, check all these products, then figure out the steps in between, give me the clean data, I guess, the stuff that I might want to buy or whatever, and then you'll do the last process. So you start the first and the last, you miss out in the middle, you can go and do whatever, and it's just refining the process. That is really important. And that refining is just, and also refining it up here so that you know what's more important, what you can, what's prioritizing and everything like that, rather than, I always see as mastering every aspect of your Amazon business yourself. Because then, whatever happens, you know exactly, whatever happens, you know what to do. And it takes you like 1 second to do it. And you also can see what everyone else is doing. Say you have virtual assistants doing something. You can see everything that's going on, and you can, 100% if it's right, wrong, can be improved. I know a lot of people that just take out a software service and don't really. I know so many people that don't know how to use keeper charts. And I say, if you don't know how to use a keeper chart, don't sell on Amazon, because it's like getting in a car and you've literally had one driving lesson. You basically had one. You roughly know what keeper is. You roughly know what car is. You know where the pedals are, and you're driving. You're like, no cars on the road at the moment, so I'm getting somewhere. But give it time. And it's like, it's not very professional as well, because I know a lot of people do this part time. Maybe they're not so worried, but like, it's just, if you had nothing else, Keeper can tell you everything. It's the number one thing. Mastering it will give you. If you don't master it, you just won't maximize your profits. As simple as that. You know, if you're happy to make 10 grand, but maybe I've lost 5 because you could have done 15, but you just not mastered certain aspects of the business, and that's then perfect. But to me, it's like you spend 4, 5, 10 hours mastering something, which is what's that worth? £100 in terms of your day, but you've made 5,000 over the year. The trade-off's pretty conclusive, in my opinion. But that's not going to many more than that, because there's no point going. So, and as I said, learning. I'm going to actually smash my computer at this point. It keeps stopping. But learning is the last point I'm going to touch on, because I also want to shorten my videos because they're a bit long these days. Well, they have been for the last 2 years. So learning. What I mean by that, okay, so like I just mentioned, Keeper. Q1 is the perfect time where you can, you don't have to be going gun-ho like Q4. Everyone knows that, because the sales just aren't there. They are there, but they're just not there in its quantities and velocities, like sell-through rates. So you can sell, obviously, a lot of products and you can make decent money, but you just can't sell 500 of that unit, 600 of that unit, 1,000 of that unit. You might sell 30, 50, 100 even, if it's the right product. So the amount of time if you're prepping yourself, for example, the amount of time that you'll be doing that is obviously reduced. You're not sourcing as much because maybe the product, the Keeper chart, if you don't know how to read it, but if you do know how to read it, it's just saying that it's not very popular in Q1. It's not very popular in January. Maybe it's chocolates, for example. A lot of people don't want to go on diets. So you have a bit of time, more than what you would normally. If you have any time in the year, it's now. So learning, what are you not that good at? So I say master Keeper, because I use Keeper for literally everything. I can tell if there's an IP issue, hazmat problem, like sellers trying to kick everyone else off the listing. That sort of thing happens. Price fluctuations, obviously it's obvious, but I can tell trend analysis, scenario planning. It's basically projecting the future. Just by reading 2 little things, and it takes me literally 1 minute per product that I might look to source. I can basically just plan. I can just see a massive bubble of history. I can project the future. I can project the quantities that I'll sell. It takes me 1 minute because I've mastered how to read Keeper. And it's all the plugins, as great as they are, they're not very accurate, because whatever one you look at, there's many different plugins, they're not very accurate for the finesse or the critique side of things, meaning the finer details are very much averages, because that's really all you can do. There's no way to prove exactly how many, for example, how many products are selling that month. It's very hard. You can only go off the Keeper data. But I guess I don't just read the Keeper data and the page. I actually will cross-reference products with other products in those categories, along with other products in subcategories and opposing categories, meaning not the same. With the product itself, I'll analyze the actual product, chocolate or slimming products. You sort of get a gist of roughly one's going to probably sell more than the other in Q1, for example. But Keeper only shows you historical data. It doesn't give you, and it doesn't analyze maybe all the other little finer details. And just learning other things. Maybe you want to learn manual sourcing. Maybe you want to, to see how. Maybe you want to learn bundling. Maybe you want to learn replenishables. For me, building, Oh yeah, sorry, that God. So replenishables. I press a button on this keyboard and it stops my recording. It's annoying. So replenishables. For me, I always go on about it. It's like the holy grail of Amazon. I did all my sales, 90%, 95% last year was all from just replenishables. And the previous year or the year before, first Q4, I had about £500, maybe £350 to £500 worth of services to get product leads. Well, now I just run off myself. So I'm saving 350 quid a month over Q4, and I probably take it out in September. So September, October, November, December. 20 grand? No, just under 2 grand, 1,800 or something. I don't know what it is. I have to save myself that money by building a really sustainable replenishables. And also, what does that mean? Come Q1, I already know what I'm buying. I don't have to. I know what's going to sell. I can use my historical replenishable list, just like Keeper, to figure out what's going to sell when, how many, and I sell the same products year after year. I build on them. Some drop off because you can't get them anymore, whatever. Some appear, or I will go about building, core replenishable list and improving it over Q1 for the rest of the year. And that's only going to, again, compound. You want to compound your replenishable list, Q1, Q2, Q3. So come Q4, you have 500 product leads, 1,000 product leads to just go and buy. You already know the products. You have built your replenishable list over the years, and you just rinse and repeat. That's all I do. Everything I sold was, well, not everything, but a lot of things that I sold over Q4 this year, 2019, just come. I sold probably 75% of those items the year before, maybe 80. And I just rinse and repeat. So, and building this list, once you start building it, it just sort of steamrolls and builds on itself. And I've done many videos on how to do these sort of things, so you can go check them out, or you can just ask. But this, to me, is the most important part, and that also includes bundles. I don't even want to type because I'm going to stop this recording. Bundles. That, when I say replenishables, replenishables leads to bundles, because you will find a product which will be a replenishable, and then you'll be able to find a bundle version of that, maybe a 2, 3, 4 pack, which is then a replenishable as well. So it is the same thing. It's just another way of increasing the number of replenishables is by bundling the same product. So I'm going to leave it there. 30 minutes, that's actually really easy. Right, so hopefully you've got some pointers to help plan Q4. Sorry, I'm stuck in Q4 mode. Q1, Q2, Q3, but mainly focusing your energy in Q1 so that you don't just waste it. I waited like 6 months one year. My first Q4, I made all that money. I was like, woo! And then I was like, I literally just had I just mucked around for like 6 months. Well, it probably worked part-time for 6 months. I probably worked like 3 days a week. If you added up all the time, 3 days a week, and for 6 months. And then I was like, oh, Q4's coming up. I better focus now. You have to learn some way. That's sort of how humans are. But that's what happened. But you want someone just to show you that's the worst thing to be doing. And you can do all of this in that time. So it won't be as much hands-on work, but it'd be more like knowledge, building those foundations more solid, and building upwards, and then building that next level, and that next level, and that next level. So that come Q4, you can double or triple what you've done, but by doing no extra work. All you're doing is taking all that work you've already done in the rest of the year, over January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, and that's actually what's going to compound your Q4. Not your I've got an extra 10 grand, let's do this. That will help. Of course, capital is always going to help, but by doing all of these things, that actually will generate 2x, 3x, 4x Q4. Not when you get to Q4, you're like, now I know what to do because I had last year. You don't want to wait till then, because it's not too late, but it's very difficult to maximize. So hopefully you've all got something out of this, as I always say. If not, thumbs down. If yes, thumbs up, I guess. And then if in the middle, something you can't do on YouTube, so leave that out. Anyway, have a great day, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.